everybody up. My name is, as she said, Emma Norfleet Haley, and I am a trauma expert. And what we're going to start with is we're going to do some self-affirmation, because what I've found is that a lot of us in the mental health field and professionals, we don't take care of ourselves. So this exercise is about you, and it's a shameless plug for myself, because these are all books that I've been a part of. So I'm going to say something and I want you all to repeat it. I am enough.
I am enough.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
You are enough.
You are enough.
Dare to rise above
Dare
mediocrity.
to rise above.
Possibilities unlimited.
Possibilities unlimited.
How to unmask and resolve trauma.
How to unmask and resolve trauma.
All right, let's have a seat. So this is going to be another heavy topic coming right after the autism, which is a very undiagnosed, as she has said, disease, but it's disorder, but it's also in line with anxiety that ties directly into mine. Now, you all, trauma is a fact of life. When Peter A. Levine said this, trauma is a fact of life. It, however, does not have to be a life sentence. Now, trauma, as I define it, you all, in simplistic terms, is a distressing, disturbing, life-threatening situation, event, or circumstance. And it can be indirect or direct. I'm going to give you some indirect and direct stories today. But before I get into that, you all, I want to talk to you all about the heaviness of trauma. Trauma affects 8 million people in the United States each year. Now, you in favor with the facilitator when you participate. Might have 1 or 2 free things that I'm going to give away called free 99. So, how many of you all can take a guess at how many people in this room may have experienced trauma?
Everyone.
Bingo, she got it. You get a new book. You get a book from me. Make sure you give Tracy your information. I'll mail you the book. Yes, everybody has experienced trauma, whether it's indirect or direct. Now, indirect trauma is trauma that impacts you where you're an observer. You're an observer of it. Somebody else in that life-threatening situation that you're observing. Now, directly, the trauma is upon you, yourself, your person. You are the person that's being traumatized. Now, Michelle Rosenthal says, trauma is something that you don't choose, but healing is a choice. I'll say that one more time. Michelle Rosenthal says, trauma is something that you don't choose. Healing is a choice. So with that being said, you all, another alarming statistics that you want to hear, from the age group 1 through 46, the number 1 cause of death is what?
Unresolved trauma?
You said, you get a book. Tracy, make sure you get our information. Trauma. Pay attention, because I told you I got free 99 things. So I talk loud so I know you can hear me. So again, that's an alarming statistic, you all. 1 out of every 40, the age group 1 through 46, the number 1 cause of death is trauma. Well, I fall in that category. I shouldn't be here before you. I should be dead. Now, Carl Jung says, I don't look like what I've been through. And I'm going to tell you why. I am a little girl, imagine if you will. I'm running through the woods. No, correction. I'm being dragged through the woods. And I'm being dragged through the woods by my brother. Well, asked Miss Emma, the trauma expert, why would somebody be dragging a little girl through the woods? Well, there's a drunken father. Now, in the country where I'm from, homes are set up in a manner where, you have the back part of the house, and there's this little walkway, breezeway that you can come across, and then you're in the main part of the house. Well, imagine, if you will, this 5-year-old girl awakened to chaos in the front area of the room. So as she stumbles her way through and she's clearing her eyes, what she sees before her in a bedroom is this drunken father attempting the most heinous thing one could imagine on her older sibling. Yes, he was attempting to rape one of my older sisters. But there's this steadfast brother named Sam, affectionately known as my protector. And so he stood his ground that night, and he said, "Get off my sister." So the drunken, inebriated father at that point becomes so enraged, he makes another threat now towards my brother. He says, "You stay right there, you son of a, I'm gonna kill you tonight." So back to the 5-year-old girl that's standing there looking. Now she comes to an older sister who's a caretaker, now a brother, a caretaker. So this is indirect. What did I tell you all earlier? There's direct and there's indirect trauma. Well, I have experienced indirect trauma. It's gonna move to direct in a few seconds in this story. So the brother stands his ground, and the father, in his enragement, he gets up and he starts stumbling. Well, inebriation and drunkenness became a saving grace, you all. It became a saving grace because, unlike what people think, you turn it up when you're getting drunk, all you're doing is you're depressed. All your things in your body it ain't moving like you think. You think you're doing this? No, you're doing this. So yeah, in his attempt to thinking he's gonna get over to that closet and get his gun, he got to do all of this. And he's got to get himself together. But he gets to the closet, but at this time, my brother is huddling. He's huddling his people, and that people would be us, the siblings, because I'm from a big family, 9. Now, one is in New York, doing her thing, yes, because she's older. I'm the second from the youngest, and so that's why I'm 5 at that point. And so now, when my brother huddles us into the woods, he gets us over there to safety. So we thought. Now I'm moving into my direct trauma that I've had in my life. Because now the drunken father does what, you all? He follows through on that threat. And he releases the bullets in the woods. So the little girl again, she's now in direct danger. So that's my direct trauma early in life at 5. And so, paralyzed, which is one of the things that you do sometimes when trauma is happening. You're just paralyzed, like a deer in headlight. And so my brother, he stops momentarily and he leans down and he says to me, "I got you, baby girl. It's gonna be okay." So I feel the engulfed big hands grasp mine. And that's the answer to that question when I say, why would a little girl be dragged through the woods? For safety reasons. So, and yes, you all, he dragged me to safety 2.5 miles to my aunt's home, and I am here before you today because I survived trauma. Early on, thank you, I survived trauma early on, but it doesn't stop there, you all. And when I talked to you all earlier about indirect and direct trauma, someone else the other day mentioned something, and I wanted to explain that there's single episode trauma and then there's complex trauma. Before you is complex trauma today. The trauma expert is an expert because spiritually, theoretically, I have both. I have the indirect and the direct. I have what I call a trifecta. Spiritually, theoretically, and experientially. So when you experience trauma, you all, nobody gets to tell you about what it is. You know you felt, you lived it. And so when you're a survivor of that, I thought I was finished. Yes, you all, I grew up, I got a bachelor's degree in social work, a master's degree in social work, and this is theoretical expertise I'm talking now. A bachelor's in social work, master's in social work, and a doctor's degree in clinical psychology. So that's my theoretical expertise. Experientially, I already shared one of them with you. Now, another one I'll share with you, fast forward. I'm in 3 car accidents. All 3 car accidents, I should not have walked away. All 3 accidents, I should not have walked away. My car hydroplaned, 300 ZX. Hydroplaned. I'm up in the air. I'm literally seeing things down. And this is what happened. Oh, Lord, please save me. And so I was. And the car was set strategically between two trees. I opened the side of the door, the passenger side. There's water running. So divine intervention put the car right where it was supposed to be. Now I'm wedged in, so I can't get out over there. The tree is over there. 300 CX, I hit that hatchback. Out the back I went. And I walked out and I'm looking at a car that's mangled. But I walked out. Some more direct trauma. Trauma expert experientially. 11/27, I'm living my best life. I'm ending my great vacation in Aruba. I had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And for the medical people, I'm really about to wow you. So you medical folks in here, I had a cabbage on 11/27. And the surgery that I did, they had to do a cabbage. Yeah, you're wild. The one right there, yeah. I know you, I'm wilding you. Yes, I had 11/27, a heart attack. 12/2, I medevac back to Washington Hospital Center. 12/6, I'm under the knife. 12/10, I walked out from direct trauma. See, and that ties right into the experiential, now to my spiritual. See, now, lots of research needs to be done on that spiritual part. So I don't go anywhere that I don't give honor to who's supposed to be given to, and that is my Lord and Savior. So the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And then when I step back over to my theoretical side, thoughts affect feelings, feelings affect outcome behavior. So a lot of times people walk around with all this trauma. You walk around with all of this trauma and you're saying, I'm okay. Say it to yourself long enough, you're going to start to believe it, but your outcome behavior is jacked and whacked. Keep saying it. I'm okay. And when you're really not. See, what you're doing is confusing the brain. As Dr. Deborah should tell you. If you confuse your brain, it doesn't like to be confused. Sometimes you can put it in such a confused state, it will decide to go. And you just stay there. See, this for the brain is better than, brain doesn't like to be confused. Trauma is very confusing. Okay, you all get your pens, y'all write this down. There are 10 common characteristics of trauma. The symptoms of trauma, there are many, you all. There are a plethora of symptoms related to trauma, but I just want to talk to you all about the 10 that I covered in my book, How to Unmask and Resolve Trauma. The first one, you all, is anger. Anger. So can you imagine the girl that I was just telling you about earlier? Oh, I was an angry little teenager. Ooh, you say something to me, boom, I'll pop you right in the mouth because I could fight. So I wasn't interested in all of that emotional stuff because I had been stunted in my developmental growth. So that anger one resonated with me. So in the latter half of my career, I decided, I don't just want to be a mental health professional. I want to be an expert. So I devoted time. I started in my practice and I perfected what I needed to because my wellness for self, it's for you, and you. Because if I don't stay well as a survivor of trauma, there's no way I'm going to be effective with other people who need to. See, you've survived the trauma because you're still living and breathing. But you live in residual impact of the trauma. Because those symptoms, anger is the first one. Avoiding reminders. There's a story behind that connects to avoiding reminders. I had a former client, which was the one that really pushed me and catapulted me into knowing, gotta do this, just gotta do trauma. Gotta stop moving all around dealing with all the other disorders, Gene. Gotta really focus in on trauma. I had a client and she had an olfactory trigger. An olfactory trigger, you all know, that's how I know the spell. And so repeatedly she was raped in her family by uncles and brothers and the neighbors. So there was like 7 different perpetrators. But this one particular perpetrator, he smoked a cigar. And so she's coming to her session for me, and as she gets off the bus, someone says, Dr. Jean, your client is out there going off. Well, as she steps off the metro bus, you all, a guy, he probably doesn't know anything of what's going on. He walks by and he smoked the same cigar that she was raped by one of her perpetrators did. And from that, she was all the way back being raped and just went off. And so one of the things that I had to do with her that day was I had to get her attention because she's everywhere. And the bigger she got, the lower I got. But I tried to get where she could see me. And eventually we locked eyes. And I said, X, because I can't tell you her name, breach confidentiality. I said, X, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. Why do you all think I'm telling her to do this? Because I'm trying to do what? Don't you answer. I'm trying to get her to what?
To turn it back to her.
To divert her attention.
No. She has to know she's here. Tactile. Tactile. When a person is dysregulated in that manner, you have to bring them back. Because otherwise she stays in a flux of total, just out-regulation. Just, it's beyond, like she threw up, you all, afterwards. Like literally put her back. So yes, if you're a mental health professional, and when I stumbled across that and I had to have that experience, I knew then I had to specialize. There was no more, we're going to be treating a whole bunch of disorders, but the second half of my career has been devoted to trauma. And especially since we're talking 8 million people a year being affected by trauma. So no, I don't want you coming in my practice and not being able to get the very, very best from me. So you all, indirect and direct trauma, very much experienced differently, but the effects of it, devastating. Wounds heal. That emotional trauma, you all. And before I give you the rest of those symptoms, the 4 types of trauma, we have the physical, we have emotional, we have the environmental, and that big one section that affects a lot of females. I'm centering some stuff now around college students because there's a lot of rape and date rape and all that kind of stuff happening, you all, in college. When you all are sending your kids off to college, you need to have that conversation with them. You can enter college very, very high up on your adrenaline and all this stuff and leave just a mess. Because number one, you all remember you all are not there anymore.
Right.
You're not there anymore to say those safety things that you say every day, pretty much when they're in the home, once they've launched out there. So you want to have these talks, you all, about college can be an amazing experience, but it can also be an unamazing experience whereby you come out of there changed forever. And the stigma with trauma and people not being so comfortable with being transparent about it, I'm screaming it from the rooftop because I survived. And trauma does not get to predict my future, my present and my future. It's back here, and so I refuse to allow it to drive forward. So that's the same kind of commitment that I have for my clientele. This is behind you. How dare we allow something that's in the past literally guide and shape and do in your familiar relationships, in your interpersonal relationships, in your vocational relationship. You all my professionals here, when you go back to your work, y'all gonna be looking at people like, I wonder if they traumatized. Because it's that person that has great skills, but can't nobody get along with them. Because they're afraid to connect with you all. They are afraid to connect with you for fear of rejection, abandonment, or whatever. Avoiding reminders, that second symptom that I was talking to you all about. If you present in a loud way, let's say her abuser was loud. What does that mean? That person's gonna stay away from you. If you were part of an abuser where you would come in, sexually abuse her, and then you wouldn't see her anymore, see, rejection is a problem for her. So someone that's coming in, really handling their business and doing this task-oriented kind of stuff, and then they're gone, well, she's experienced that as rejection. So she's gonna stay away from you. And so it can damper in the professional world people's growth. So that third one, detachment from others, is what I'm talking about right now. That third symptom, common symptom, you detach from other people. And the fourth one, feeling jumpy. You're startled very easily. You're feeling jumpy. Yeah. It's like somebody closed the door. And most of the research, you all, unfortunately, was on men initially. And this is, about women empowerment and, mental health and the well-being of women. And so it was not until the DSM-3 that they even put PTSD on the horizon. So shame on us, mental health professionals, that we didn't do what we needed to do because we are the ones in the front line dealing with it. So we knew long before some DSM-3 that anxiety and this post-traumatic stress was a big, big thing for females, especially the emotional. Domestic violence is an example I'll give to you for the emotional. Sometimes it's not about physical abuse, it's the mental, duration that happens every single day of your life when you're married to someone. And then all of a sudden, the isolation piece, they get you alone. They want to get you alone. They don't want you around other people that are going to be a support circle. It's important for people to have support circles. I had a great support circle, and the first one was my mom. My mom is instrumental in the strong woman you see before you today because she was strong. So I have this joke in my family, and that's my niece there. I tell them, it's not in your DNA to give up. So she can attest to it. We're gonna do what we need to do, but we're gonna push forward. Because Michelle Rosenthal said, trauma is not a choice, but healing has to be your choice. And if you choose not to get better, you won't. I wish I had some magic pill to tell you something else, but I give you the bare bone truth. If you choose not to get better, whether that's you hiding behind, I'm so professional, and I'm doctor this and I'm doctor that. That's why I don't lead with doctor. That's why I don't lead with doctor. You heard what she called me. Emma Jean Norfleet, because that's who I am. I'm Emma Jean Norfleet, committed to helping tens of thousands of people learn how to triumph over trauma. And so when I stand before people, I embody and I give permission that if she did it, I can too. So yes, that's why, it's great. I can't say my education was not a wonderful part of the journey that I've been on. It was great. It helped me to be who I am. But I am real clear, it is not my degrees, it is my connectivity and my ability to associate and grab hold of people like I have your captivation here right there. See, that is my superpower. See, that's my superpower, and that is what moves clients. Right, Dr. Deb?
Absolutely.
See, what moves a client is your authenticity. It's your authenticity and your willingness to bare bone. Now, of course, when clients come in, a lot of times they want to know, have you been through trauma? And you can let them know, there will be a time in treatment for that. But in the beginning, you're just there to listen, to give acknowledgement. I heard some other people talking about how important acknowledgement. It's so important because guess what, you all? They haven't been heard. And plus, they've been hiding from it. So, you're feeling jumpy. Another one is that you have flashbacks, you all. I gave you a story to know what flashbacks is, the olfactory one. You have flashbacks. And then the next one is insomnia, you all. People can't sleep. The ringing in the ear is not just associated with war veterans, you all. It's trauma personified. That's one of those common symptoms. And as I focus the latter years, 18, 20 years of my career, that is just repeated because I collect data in my private practice. I collect data. And yes, I am a cognitive behavioral therapist, true, I am. And I love it because it has efficacy. It's evidence-based. Well, when we say evidence-based, it means that they have done some longitudinal studies. Yes, they've done the longitudinal studies. That means a long time you are. And over the long time, it was reliable. So it has validity. So when it has validity, I say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just trying to add value to people's life. And value doesn't have anything to do with money in this case, you all. Value is living your best life that you can. And if you don't fight back with trauma, trauma will ruin your family. your job, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. It will ruin all facets of your life. And you know, mental health professionals, we don't like to use absolute terms, especially if you subscribe to being a cognitive behavioral therapist. Now, 3 things you all, let me finish giving you the insomnia, and then you have M, memory loss. And you also have L, lack of motivation. You have N, the nightmares. And then you have that other one that people use as a maladaptive coping skill, and that's called what? Use of substance and abuse. We will get so bothered with the memories that keep flooding us and coming back that you take a drink, maybe shoot up in the arm, or hit the pipe. And that is more refreshing than having to live with those things. Now, there are 4 types of evidence-based therapies, you all. You have cognitive processing therapy. You have EMD, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, EDMR, okay? And then you have that 3rd one, prolonged exposure. And you have the 4th one, trauma focus, specifically cognitive behavioral therapy. So those are the 4 evidence-based, and there's lots of research on that. If you would like, you can reach me at www.hmocs.org. I do not subscribe to Amazon. Amazon has enough money. I am my own bookseller, and I share not my profits, because that's me knowing my value. So if you're interested in that book, it's www.hmocs.org. And I have a book sale tab, and you can have any of those 5 books. I recommend How to Unmask and Resolve Trauma, because I just gave you the 10 most common symptoms of trauma, and I go into it in depth in explaining that. I go into in an in-depth way of explaining to you what each of those evidence-based psychotherapies will do for you. The benefit of those, you all, is that it doesn't take you 25 years to work through stuff. These are evidence-based, and they range from 8 weeks to like 16 weeks. All of the ones that I talked to you all about. Now, it doesn't mean that if a person comes in with complex therapy, because I had to go back and get certifications in anger. One of the things that I realized once I specialized in trauma was anger being the top one. I had to become a certified anger management specialist. Because sometimes the trauma is so entrenched and have left that residual symptom of anger, I have to segue out of treatment and literally do a 6 to 8 week anger management program to really equip them with coping skills to just manage so they don't pop you in your head when you're walking by and you accidentally step on the toe. So literally to that level, you all. And so any of you all that are interested in knowing whether you have, because what I'm also becoming aware of in this speaking world, you all, some of us ain't healthy. We're not healthy. So if you want to know privately, email me at info@hmocs.org and ask for my pre-screening. Just put in the subject text. I want it. It's your business, but it will certainly raise your awareness. Because if you endorse a certain amount, and I won't tell you now because you'll go there and they won't endorse it, but be intrinsically true about that, you all. Ask yourself that question. Learn to reflect, reject, and reset your mind. Number 2, ask yourself that question in the mirror. Am I living my best life? What I've discovered, and we don't have time to do my mirror exercise, is that when you look yourself in the mirror, it is virtually impossible to lie to yourself. You can say it auditorily, but your pupils looking back at you in that reflection say, you lying. Because what's going to happen, you all, is going to raise anxiety. It's going to make you fearful. So get that mirror for that second golden nugget that I'm dropping to you. Ask yourself that question. Am I living my best life? And if you are not, those psychotherapy evidence-based practices that I told you all about therapies, you need one. You need one of those, okay? I hope that I have served you all well. I can entertain any questions that you have, if you have any. Awesome job. Oh, okay.
So, in my current role, I work for an IT organization. I'm a social support manager. So my job is to make sure that the trainee completes our program. But in meeting with them, I get a lot of trauma stories, spending my one-on-one check-ins, listening to people cry, and just dealing with a lot of personal barriers. So how do I move them from the trauma to help them complete this program? Because that's really what the focus is. Not, I mean, as a SSM, yes, their trauma is the main focus, but within the organization, our job is for them to graduate the program.
Is there any way that you can advocate for therapy to be a part of it? Because we can't work through trauma alone. I couldn't work through it by myself. I needed help.
But a lot of people don't realize they need therapy. And then, in the Black community, we don't want to get that kind of help because it makes you feel weak or
stigmatized.
Exactly.
Well, give them that website I just gave you. That's private. Make it as private at first, because the first step is them realizing that I want to get help. But if they don't know they need help, they won't. So if you can privately give them that info@hmocs.org, I will send them that free pre-screening test. And then they will have access to know, I have unresolved trauma. Because after you endorse so many, that's your evidence. It's a pre-screening, and then you'll need to go.
Okay.
And maybe that will help.
Okay. And one more question.
Sure.
All right, so I also have a lot of trauma from my childhood and up into adulthood. Because, sometimes in trauma, you can become your own. You can create these kind of scenarios where you're putting yourself in these situations. So as a human service professional, how do I help people overcome their trauma when I'm still working through my trauma? Because sometimes what happens is by the time Friday comes, I'm mentally drained. I'm crying. I'm like, am I good enough to even do this kind of work? I have my own stuff. How can I help others? And I'm still working through mine. So what do I do? What can I do as a healthcare professional just to help people when I'm still dealing with my stuff?
Do you remember what I said earlier in my speech? My wellness for self is for somebody else. Wellness for self has to matter. So if you've had unresolved trauma, you gotta resolve it, because your whole self is not forward when you're helping, and that's why you feel the heavy pull at the end of the week. So you get my list as well. And then just those three psychotherapies that I was telling you about, one of those. And you tell them, ask Miss Emma, the trauma expert said, I will interview you, because connection is what matters. If you go and get your hair braided and they jack it up, are you going back? Same thing for your mental health professional. Ask them questions. 240-423-4109 is my number, and I can do all the other stuff that you all might not be able to do with them. See, I can challenge them because I'm on their level. So some mental health professionals are unhealthy. I realize my lane of brilliance is not for everybody. Everybody can't, deal with, me and my approach. But I'm so healthy, I'm gonna get you to somebody else. Okay? 240-423-4109, because I see it all too often in my field, and shame on us for doing that. Like, we're the only ones can help someone. We're not. It's a connection, it's association. It really is. It matters if you can connect with someone, how great work you're gonna do.
And Jean, wonderful, thank you. I missed the first two symptoms.
Anger, avoiding, reminder.